Being a wildlife biologist, I've been fortunate enough to travel the state of Wyoming, and there's something about the Wyoming range, to me, it's undescribable. It's just like when I'm there, it's home. It's just, you can't put words to it. It's just an amazing place. It's an amazing part of the world. A migration corridor is a chunk of country that animals use to get from summer range back down to their winter range, and then from their winter range back to their summer range. And they, with collar data, they've shown that they use pretty much the same little strip of area every year.
Wyoming's got some of the biggest big game populations in the lower 48. I truly believe that ranches in Wyoming provide an important part for wildlife. My name's Corby McGinnis, and you're on the Diamond H on Fontenelle Creek. We have about 7,200 acres. We're a cow-calf yearling operation. We run Hereford cattle, and we're proud of it. I enjoy the game, as long as they stay out of my trees. They do their own thing, we do our own thing. We don't harass them. They have a right to hear.
Everything that a mule deer goes through in its yearly cycle, you know, from spring green up to going through the summer, you know, then the fall, none of that matters unless he can make it through the winter. And if he can't get to the winter range, that's the most important thing, that winter range. So there's threats to these crucial habitats, migration corridors, and winter range. Oil and gas is one, and subdivisions, in my mind, is the biggest. You know, houses don't go away. Houses are there forever.
So I'm Zach Key. I live in LaBarge, Wyoming, and I work for SOS Well Services. I'm a manager of currently 60 employees. Favorite kind of hunting would be archery. Big archer, shot 6th in the Junior Olympics when I was younger, shot 3rd in the nation. The main misconception that people have with oil and gas and wildlife coexisting, in my opinion, would be that they feel like the oil and gas workers and developers do not care about the habitat and the wildlife, and it's just so far from the truth. So oil and gas operators, we don't want to obstruct the wildlife corridors, the migration corridors. That's the last thing we want to do. We want to make sure that these animals can get back and forth to their summer range, their stopover points, and be able to fluidly move through the country. And with that being said, we have taken it serious about sitting down with the local governments, the local NGOs and everything else, trying to figure out how to be smart and effective about coexisting with these migration corridors. I mean, we're on one of the main migratory crossways here, and the reason it was such a big deal to us is if we could put those tunnels in, the high fence in, we would restore that migration corridor, number one. Number two, we're gonna make all our families safer. We're gonna make all the roadways safer, and on top of that, we're gonna make immediate results to the wildlife. And I'm talking elk, deer, antelope, coyotes, raccoons, anything that uses those tunnels, those corridors, you know, it's immediate savings.
So from Big Piney south to Kemmer, all of that stuff, all that desert country, that if you drove by it this time of year, you'd be like, what the heck, why is this important, you know? And that's where those animals go. I mean, it's winter range. That's what gets them through the year. These are sensitive animals, and in the winter, when they're on these landscapes, they're at their all-time lowest, and a little bit of stress can be the matter of life or death, you know?
Winter closures in this area has helped with winter mortality, especially in the spring.
And without those winter ranges, we cannot have sustainable herds. Migration corridors are important for a couple of reasons. One is that if it is designated, there can be a lot of funding to improve habitat. With this designation, there's the opportunity to go in and do large-scale habitat improvements and make it better for wildlife. And two, it's a starting point. I think migration corridors have brought a lot of awareness to wildlife in this part of the country. And I think it's a jumping off point.
Everyone has the right to own land in Wyoming, but you also have a responsibility to take care of that land. And that is why we do what we do. We try to put forth projects that are wildlife friendly.
I mean, the locals in that part of the world, I mean, they love wildlife. You know, we had a work day there 2 weeks ago, and we had people from oil and gas, we had agriculture, we had wildlife, all there because they love wildlife, you know. I think the future, if with this acknowledgement of these migration corridors, acknowledgement of these other important areas, is very important. Cool time to be in conservation. People actually care, you know. Care about little old Wyoming.